Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to our distinguished panel for joining us today. I'm glad you and my colleagues touched on the disastrous precedent set by the TRIPS waiver. It's ridiculous that our current administration is willing to allow other countries to steal the intellectual property of American businesses. I want to touch on this as well, but from a broader perspective on U.S. R&D competitiveness and the tax consequences of forced technology transfers, localized operations, and data localization. Intellectual property is the direct result of research and development. Our current tax system has incentivized the execution of R&D in several ways. The first is the immediate R&D expensing, which we will hopefully get over the finish line with the Senate soon with a bill that we just passed the House last week. This is complemented with an R&D tax credit that's especially useful to small and medium-sized businesses that engage in cutting-edge research. Additionally, our global tax system contains the foreign-derived intangible income FDII deduction that rewards companies for domiciling IP in the United States. As strong as these incentives are, I believe that the administration's active participation in IP theft is a massive disincentive for American businesses to conduct R&D here. The TRIPS waiver has put us on a slippery slope. We now have countries at the WTO proposing more tech transfers, localized operations, and data localization, in short, the complete abandonment of U.S. digital trade priorities. Ms. Shaw, what do you believe the overall effects on U.S. economy and research and development if the administration fails to oppose foreign government demands on localization?
Thank you so much for the question. And, it's bewildering to me that an expansion of the TRIPS waiver is even being considered at the WTO, in particular, considering the Biden administration and the World Health Organization have already declared the COVID pandemic over. There doesn't seem to be any justification for this discussion that is happening. And I think we've talked about this morning a number of the negative impacts that the TRIPS waiver would have, the chilling impact on R&D, and the potential, as you say, for a slippery slope for this to expand to other types of either medical devices or topics altogether. The United States is going down an alarming path right now. Between the TRIPS waiver, the possibility of losing the e-commerce moratorium, and the reversal of longstanding bipartisan proposals on digital trade. And we are positioning ourselves to be more like China than the Western alliance that we have been part of for so long. So I would strongly support efforts by the administration to push back on the TRIPS waiver and to kick it out of the WTO altogether. Thank you.
All right, thank you. This concerns me not just from a trade perspective, but from a tax perspective as well. On the surface, these proposals may result in U.S. companies having permanent establishments in foreign countries, ceding primary taxing right to those countries, causing jobs to migrate away from the United States, and decreasing payroll taxes remitted to the U.S. Treasury. However, what's most alarming to me is the interaction of the WTO policies with our global tax system and OECD's Pillar 2. When we addressed international tax in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in 2017, we created the FDII and GILTI regimes, which basically function as a carrot and a stick. If you have IP in the U.S. and sell overseas, those profits are taxed at a lower rate. If you have IP overseas, those profits are taxed at a higher rate. This system's been successful in bringing IP back to the United States and stopping corporate inversion. However, the success of this system relies on the U.S. retaining primary taxing right on IP within the United States. As many of my colleagues know, I have been adamant in opposition to the OECD's Pillar 2 for a variety of reasons. In relation to this topic, what concerns me the most is the qualified domestic minimum top-up tax, the QDMTT. A QDMTT would be assessed by foreign countries on U.S. companies with a physical presence in that country, if it's determined that that company's effective tax rate's under 15%. Due to OECD's ordering rules and the U.S. Treasury not defending our tax system, QDMTTs are given priority over GILTI and FD and FDII. Any QDMTT paid by a U.S. company would generate a foreign tax credit, which would be an additional drain on the U.S. Treasury. With this additional information, Ambassador Shea, what do you think would be the overall effects on the U.S. tax base, and will U.S. tax receipts be increased or decreased?
With respect to OECD,
yes,
I just am not competent to answer that question. I'm not familiar with the Pillar 2.
Right. Okay. Well, that's obviously has an impact on our trade just because of the way it's discussed, and I mean the work that you've done so much on WTO has been so beneficial in highlighting the weaknesses there.
Well, it's great to I remember you visiting us, so it's good to see you again.
It's good seeing you too as well. So, in summary, I think we need to have the USTR focus on policies that are beneficial for the United States and utilizing what WTO was originally crafted to be to help us in international trade. Thank you. I yield back.